Earth's silent warning. Our patience is dwindling. The Great Hall of Nexus Station stretched so far that its ceiling disappeared into artificial clouds. Thousands of beings from hundreds of worlds filled the chamber, their voices creating a sound like distant thunder. At the center stood Ambassador Sarah Chen, a small human woman in a simple gray suit, waiting for silence that would not come. She had been standing there for 20 minutes. Counselor Thexran of the Vorlex hegemony lounged in his elevated seat, his 4 eyes half closed in boredom. His scaled body reflected the chamber's lights in shades of purple and gold. He was ancient by human standards, nearly 300 years old, and had served on the Galactic Council for over a century. In that time, he had seen dozens of young species come begging for recognition. They all learned their place eventually. "The human wishes to speak," announced the chambermaster, a crystalline being whose voice chimed like bells. "The council will hear her petition." The noise died down, but Sarah could hear the whispers. Whispers that followed humanity everywhere in the galaxy. Too young, too aggressive, too emotional, too dangerous. She activated the holographic display before her. Images of human colonies appeared in the air, small settlements on the edges of known space. "Honorable counselors," she began, her voice steady and clear. "Humanity requests equal trading rights within Galactic Council space. We also formally request that the Sol System, our home system, be recognized as sovereign human territory with full protective status." A laugh echoed from somewhere in the upper galleries. Then another. Soon, dozens of species were making sounds that Sarah's translator interpreted as amusement. Thexran leaned forward, his mouth opening to reveal rows of crystalline teeth. "Ambassador Chen, humanity achieved faster-than-light travel only 50 years ago. In galactic terms, you are infants, children. The Council grants full rights only to species who have proven themselves over centuries of peaceful cooperation." "We have been peaceful," Sarah replied. "We have followed every rule, paid every fee, accepted every restriction placed upon us." "And yet," interrupted Counselor Veshala, "a being of pure energy contained in a force field, your species brings weapons to every negotiation. Your colonies are armed fortresses. Your ships carry enough firepower to crack planets." Sarah's jaw tightened. "We carry weapons because we've been attacked, 17 times in the last decade alone. Pirates, raiders, and yes, ships bearing the markings of Council species. We have a right to defend ourselves." "Defense," Thexran said the word like it tasted bitter. "Is that what you call the incident at Proxima Station, where human soldiers killed 43 beings? That incident," Sarah's voice grew colder, "began when slavers attacked a human cargo ship. They took 32 humans, including children. Our soldiers rescued them. The slavers chose to fight. They lost." "You could have called for Council peacekeepers," Veshala said. "We did. They arrived 3 days later. By then the slavers would have been gone, and our people would have been sold to the highest bidder." Sarah looked around the chamber, meeting eyes and optical sensors and things she had no names for. "We asked for help. You did not come, so we saved ourselves." Silence fell over the chamber, but it was not a comfortable silence. Thexran's eyes narrowed. "Your tone borders on disrespect, Ambassador. The Council has been patient with humanity's aggressive tendencies. We have overlooked many violations, but perhaps we have been too lenient." Sarah felt something cold settle in her stomach. "Counselor, I mean no disrespect. I simply ask for what every species here already has. Fair treatment, equal rights, protection." "Rights are earned," Thexran said, "not given. This Council votes to deny humanity's petition." He paused, looking at Sarah with something that might have been pity or might have been contempt. "Furthermore, we vote to implement economic pressure on human colonies until humanity learns proper humility. All trade routes through Council space will require additional fees from human vessels. All human colonies must allow Council inspectors unrestricted access. These measures will remain until humanity demonstrates proper respect for galactic order." The chamber erupted in discussion. Some species objected, but most seemed satisfied. Sarah stood perfectly still, her hands clasped behind her back. "Do you have anything to say, Ambassador?" Thexran asked. Sarah looked up at him. Her face was calm, but her eyes held something that made a few nearby counselors shift uncomfortably. "I ask that you reconsider. Humanity has been patient. We have accepted insults, accepted restrictions, accepted treatment that no other species would tolerate. But our patience is not infinite." Thexran laughed, a sound like grinding stones. Is that a threat, little human? It's a warning, Sarah said quietly. There is a difference. We are terrified, Thexran said, and the chamber filled with laughter again. The council has made its decision. You are dismissed, Ambassador. Sarah bowed, the minimum politeness required, and left the chamber. Behind her, the council moved on to other business, already forgetting the small human woman and her rejected petition. In her quarters on Nexus Station, Sarah activated her secure communication link. The face that appeared was weathered and scarred, belonging to a man in military uniform. Admiral Marcus Webb, commander of Earth's Defense Forces. They denied it, Sarah said. Webb's expression didn't change. Expected? The sanctions? Worse than we thought. They're going to strangle our colonies, Marcus. Cut off supplies, restrict trade, force inspections. They want us to break so they can justify treating us like animals. Then we move to Protocol 7, Webb said. Sarah closed her eyes. Give them time to reconsider, please. How much time? However long it takes for them to realize their mistake. She opened her eyes again. But Marcus, start the preparations. Evacuate non-combatants from the outer colonies, quietly. Already in motion, Webb said. Sarah, they're going to push. You know they will. I know. But we gave them a warning. Let the record show that we tried. She looked at something off-screen, something Webb couldn't see. How long until the Guardian network is fully operational? It's been operational for 15 years. We just haven't told anyone. Sarah almost smiled. Almost. Good. Let's hope we never have to use it. The communication ended. Sarah stood alone in her quarters, looking out at the vast station where thousands of species lived and worked together. It should have been beautiful. It should have been everything humanity dreamed of when they first reached for the stars. Instead, it was just another reminder that the universe did not welcome them. In another part of the station, Counselor Thexran met with his inner circle. The humans are contained, he said, satisfied. Within a month they will come begging. Within a year they will know their place. And are you certain? Asked one of his advisors. They seemed different today. Different how? Calm, too calm. Thexran waved a clawed hand dismissively. They are learning acceptance. This is good. He looked at his advisors, his old eyes confident. I have dealt with hundreds of young species. They are all the same. They bluster, they threaten, they posture. Then reality teaches them humility. He didn't notice the way his oldest advisor looked away. Uncomfortable. None of them knew that humanity's idea of patience was measured in centuries. Not days, none of them knew that humans had been preparing for this moment since the day they first left Earth, and none of them knew that Ambassador Sarah Chen's warning was not the first one humanity had ever given. It was just the first one they had heard. Earth's silent warning. Our patience is dwindling. Kellis had always loved the archives. The young Marathi scholar had spent most of his 30 years among the endless data cores that contained the recorded history of galactic civilization. His people were known for their memory and their dedication to truth, which made them ideal archivists and historians. Today, however, Kellis wished he had chosen a different career. The restricted section of the archives required 3 levels of authorization to access. Kellis had all 3, granted to him as part of his research into extinct species. The Council wanted to understand why civilizations failed, to prevent future catastrophes. It was important work, noble work. But what Kellis had found made him question everything. The file was labeled simply, Krevtok Incident, 2547. That was 800 years ago. Kellis had never heard of the Krevtok, which was unusual. He had memorized the names of every species that had ever held a council seat. He opened the file. The Krevtok had been a warrior race, powerful and proud. Their territory had spanned 20 star systems. They had been respected, even feared. The file contained the standard information, population estimates, technological level, cultural notes. Then came the incident reports. Kellis read slowly, his 3 hearts beating faster with each line. The Krevtok had encountered a small exploration vessel near the galactic rim. The vessel belonged to an unknown species, bipedal, mammalian. The Krevtok, following their traditions, had demanded tribute. The unknown vessel had refused. "We mean you no harm." The message from the unknown vessel read, "We ask only for safe passage. This is our first contact with other intelligent life. We hope for peaceful relations." The Krevtok had responded by firing on the vessel. It escaped. Kelly's found the next report dated 3 months later. The Krevtok had encountered another vessel from the same species. This one was larger, clearly a warship. The Krevtok fleet attacked immediately. The battle lasted 6 minutes. 3 Krevtok ships were destroyed. The unknown warship left without pursuing the survivors. That ship sent a message. "You attacked us without provocation. You killed civilians on our exploration vessel. We have responded with restraint. Do not test us again. This is your only warning." Kelly's felt cold despite the archive's controlled temperature. He knew how this story ended. He knew it because there were no Krevtok in the galaxy anymore. He found the final report. The Krevtok High Command had decided the unknown species must be taught a lesson. They had assembled a fleet of 300 warships, the largest military force they had ever gathered. They tracked the unknown species to their home system. The report ended abruptly. All ships lost. No survivors. No wreckage found. The species warned us twice. We did not listen. If anyone finds this record, know that we brought this upon ourselves. The beings call themselves humans. Do not engage them in the file corrupted there. Kelly sat in silence for several minutes staring at the screen. Then he began searching for other extinct species. The Yoth Collective. Disappeared 720 years ago. Kellis found restricted files. They had encountered humans. They had enslaved a human colony. 3 warnings. Then silence. The Drex Empire. Gone 680 years ago. They had tried to claim Sol System as their territory. 2 warnings. Silence. Every extinct species in the past 800 years had one thing in common. Contact with humanity. Warnings. Then extinction so complete that the galaxy barely remembered they had existed. Kellis realized he was shaking. Humans had been part of the galactic community for 50 years. Friendly, cooperative, a little defensive perhaps, but generally peaceful. They served on joint scientific missions, they traded fairly, they followed the rules. But before they joined the Council, they had been something else, something that entire civilizations feared to remember. Kellis had to tell someone. He copied the files to a secure data crystal and left the archives. His first thought was to go to the Council directly, but they wouldn't listen to a junior archivist. He needed someone with influence, Ambassador Chen. The human ambassador would want to know that someone had discovered her species' secret. No, wait. Chen already knew. Of course she knew. This was humanity's history. Kelly stood in the corridor, uncertain. If he revealed this information, he would cause a panic. Species would demand that humanity be expelled from Council space. Some might even call for war. But if he stayed silent and the Council continued its pressure on human colonies, history would repeat itself. He made his decision. Meanwhile, in Sol System, Admiral Marcus Webb stood on the observation deck of Earth's largest orbital defense platform. Around him, crews worked in practiced silence, preparing systems that hadn't been fully activated in decades. "Status report," Webb said. His second-in-command, Commander Sarah Johnson, consulted her datapad. "Silent Guardian network at 98% readiness. All defense platforms online. The lunar installations are decloaking on schedule. Colony evacuations are 60% complete. And the Council inspectors? We're delaying them with paperwork. They're threatening to send enforcers if we don't comply within the week." Webb nodded. "Let them send enforcers. Let them send fleets if they want. It won't change anything." Johnson looked uncomfortable. "Sir, is this really necessary? Maybe the Council will back down." "They won't," Webb said. "I've seen this before. Old powers never give up control willingly. They push until someone pushes back." He looked out at Earth below, blue and green and beautiful. "We left that planet 300 years ago with a promise. No more wars. No more conquest. We would be better. We have been better, sir." We have, Webb agreed. We've been peaceful, patient. We've taken insults that would have started wars in the old days. But there's a difference between choosing peace and accepting slavery. He turned to Johnson. Do you know why I accepted this command? No, sir. Because I remember Earth before the Unity. I'm old enough to remember the last Great War, cities burning, billions dead. We did that to ourselves. Webb's voice was quiet. We built weapons that could crack continents. We created diseases that could wipe out entire populations. We made artificial intelligences that nearly destroyed us. And we survived it all. I've read the histories, Johnson said. Reading isn't the same as living through it, Webb said. When we reached the stars, we made a choice. We would use our knowledge for exploration, not domination. We would be friends to any species that would have us. But we never forgot what we were capable of. He gestured to the planet below. Every city on Earth has shelters that can survive anything short of the sun exploding. Every colony has enough weapons to defend itself from any threat. Every ship in our merchant fleet can become a warship in 6 hours. We built all of this not because we wanted to use it, but because we learned the hard way that predators respect strength, not kindness. The Council thinks we're weak, Johnson said. I know, Webb said. That's their mistake, not ours. We gave them warnings. Ambassador Chen made it clear that we want peace. But if they force our hand? He trailed off. Then we show them what humanity really is, Johnson finished. Webb didn't respond. He didn't need to. In his quarters on Nexus Station, Kellis finally made contact with Ambassador Chen through official channels. He explained what he had found, speaking quickly, afraid she would cut him off. Chen listened in silence. When he finished, she said, You're very brave, Archivist Kellis, and very smart. Yes, everything you found is true. Why did you hide it? Would you have welcomed us if you knew? Chen's voice was sad. We came to the stars hoping for a fresh start. We wanted to be judged by our actions, not our history. Every species has a dark past. We just wanted ours to stay past. The Council needs to know, Kelly said. The Council will know when the time is right, Chen said. Thank you for contacting me first. You may have saved many lives. What are you going to do? What I should have done in the first place, Chen said. I'm going to tell them the truth. The communication ended. Kellis sat alone, holding the data crystal with the evidence of humanity's hidden history. He had a choice to make. He could take this to the Council and warn them, or he could trust that Ambassador Chen knew what she was doing. He thought about the Krevtok, about the Yalth, about the Drex. All of them had been warned. All of them had ignored those warnings. All of them had learned too late that humanity's patience was not the same as humanity's weakness. Kellis made his choice. He would trust the ambassador, but he would also prepare for the worst, because if the Council pushed humanity too far, the galaxy was about to remember what it had spent 800 years trying to forget. Earth's silent warning. Our patience is dwindling. The merchant vessel. Prosperity Dawn had been carrying medical supplies to a human colony when the Vorlex patrol ship surrounded it. Captain David Miller, a 40-year veteran of merchant service, had kept his hands visible and his voice calm as he explained that his cargo manifest was in order and all fees had been paid. The Vorlex commander had smiled with all his teeth and said that recent council regulations required additional inspection. The inspection had taken 3 days. Then Captain Miller and his crew of 12 were arrested for violations of quarantine protocols. No one could explain what protocols they had violated. That was 3 weeks ago. Now they sat in a detention facility on Vorlex Prime, waiting for a trial that might never come. When the news reached Ambassador Chen, something changed in her. Her staff noticed it. The constant diplomat smile disappeared. Her movements became precise, economical. She reminded some of them of a blade being drawn from its sheath. She requested an emergency session of the Galactic Council. The request was granted with obvious reluctance. Chen stood in the same chamber where she had been humiliated weeks before. But this time she was not alone. Behind her stood Admiral Webb in full military dress uniform. Beside him was Kellis, the young archivist who had made his choice. Counselor Thexeron looked down at them with amusement. Ambassador Chen, we heard about your merchant vessel. Very unfortunate. Perhaps if your captain had shown more respect to our patrol. We need to talk about respect, Chen interrupted. Her voice cut through the chamber like ice. We need to talk about history. And we need to talk about warnings. The chamber grew quiet. Something in Chen's tone made even the most dismissive counselors pay attention. Archivist Kellis, Chen said. Please present your findings. Kellis stepped forward, his hands trembling slightly. He activated the holographic display. Files appeared in the air above him. Ancient files. Restricted files. 800 years ago, Kellis began. A species called the Krevtok encountered humanity for the first time. They attacked a human exploration vessel without provocation. That vessel fled. It was a peaceful ship carrying scientists and their families. Images appeared. Ship records. Sensor logs. A video of small human children huddled in a shelter as the ship shook from weapons fire. 3 months later, Kellis continued, the Krevtok attacked another human vessel. This one was a warship. The humans destroyed 3 Krevtok ships in 6 minutes. They could have destroyed them all. Instead, they left, and they sent a warning. The warning message played in the ancient human language with translation scrolling below. You attacked us without cause. You murdered civilians. We have shown restraint. Do not test us again. This is your only warning. The Krevtok responded by assembling their entire military fleet, Kellis said quietly. 300 warships. They went to Sol System to teach humanity a lesson. He paused. The chamber was absolutely silent. Within 24 hours, every single Krevtok warship was gone. Not destroyed, gone, no wreckage. No survivors, no trace. The Krevtok species no longer exists. They were not conquered. They were not enslaved. They were simply removed from existence. Murmurs filled the chamber. Counselor Vishala's energy field flickered with agitation. This is speculation. There is no proof. There are 2 more examples, Kellis interrupted. Something he had never done before to a counselor. The Yalth Collective. 720 years ago, they enslaved a human colony. 3 warnings. Then extinction. More files appeared. More evidence. The Drex Empire. 680 years ago. They claimed Sol System as their territory and demanded humanity evacuate. 2 warnings. Then silence. Kellis stepped back. He looked exhausted, as if sharing this knowledge had drained something vital from him. Ambassador Chen stepped forward. The Council has wondered why humanity carries weapons. Why our colonies are fortified. Why we seem paranoid, defensive, aggressive. She looked around the chamber, meeting every eye. This is why. Because we know what we are capable of. Because we remember what we had to do to survive. Are you threatening this council? Thexeron demanded, but his voice lacked its usual confidence. I am reminding this council of reality, Chen said. Before humanity reached the stars, we fought ourselves for thousands of years. We created weapons that could boil oceans. We engineered diseases that killed billions. We built machines that nearly destroyed us. We almost made ourselves extinct more times than I can count. Admiral Webb stepped forward. We developed nuclear weapons in 1945. By 1962, we had enough to destroy every city on Earth. We came within minutes of using them. Within minutes of ending ourselves. But you didn't, said a small voice. Counselor Trexley, a peaceful herbivore species, spoke up. You chose not to. We did, Chen agreed. We chose to survive instead. We chose to evolve. We spent the next 300 years learning how to live together, how to share our world, how to be better than our worst impulses. Her voice softened slightly. When we finally reached the stars, we were so happy. We thought we would find friends, family, a community of minds working together for the good of all. And you did, Vishala said. Did we? Chen's voice hardened again. We found a council that treats us like children, that denies us basic rights, that allows its members to attack our ships and imprison our people, that laughs at our requests for dignity. You are a young species, Thexeron said, but he no longer sounded certain. You must earn? Chen's laugh was bitter. We have been patient for 50 years. We have followed rules designed to humiliate us. We have accepted insults that would have started wars. We came to you with open hands, and you treat us like animals. She took a step toward Thexeron's elevated position. But we are not animals, and our patience is not infinite. What exactly are you saying, Ambassador? Thexeron asked. I am saying that 3 times in your recorded history, civilizations have pushed humanity past its limits. All 3 of those civilizations no longer exist. The galaxy has forgotten them. We helped you forget them. Chen's voice was steady, calm, terrible. We do not want war. We have never wanted war. We came to the stars to escape our violent past, but we will not be slaves. We will not be victims. And we will not watch our people die because the Council considers us beneath protection. She gestured, and new images appeared. Images that made several counselors gasp. This is the Luna Military Complex. It has been on Earth's moon for 40 years. Your sensors never detected it because we did not want you to. This is the Silent Guardian Network, defensive satellites surrounding every human colony. They have been active since we first left Sol System. You never knew they existed. More images, ships that looked wrong, their designs too advanced, their weapons too sophisticated. This is the real human fleet, not the merchant vessels and patrol craft you see in your space. These ships have never left Sol System. We built them hoping we would never need them. The chamber erupted in chaos. Species shouted at each other, at Chen, at their own delegation members. Some demanded humanity be expelled immediately. Others called for calm. A few simply stared at the images in horror. Thexran hammered for order. When the chamber finally quieted, he looked at Chen with something that might have been fear or might have been anger. You hid all this from the Council. You lied to us. We omitted information, Chen corrected. We never lied. We simply allowed you to see what you expected to see. A young species, humble and weak. We let you underestimate us because we hoped you would give us a chance to prove we were worthy friends. And now I am giving you a choice, Chen said. You have 72 hours to release Captain Miller and his crew. You will lift all sanctions against human colonies. You will grant us the rights and protections we requested. Her voice dropped to barely above a whisper, but everyone heard it. This is your second warning. There will not be a third. And if we refuse? Thexran asked. Chen looked at him for a long moment. Then you will learn what the Krevtuk learned, what the Yalth learned, what the Drex learned, and the galaxy will forget you ever existed, just as it forgot them. She turned and walked toward the exit. Admiral Webb and Kellis followed. Ambassador, Vishala called out. Are you truly willing to destroy us all? Chen stopped. She didn't turn around. We are willing to protect ourselves by any means necessary. We have made weapons you cannot imagine. We have technologies that would seem like magic to you. We could end the entire Vorlex hegemony in less time than it takes you to call for help. She finally turned, and her face was sad. But we don't want to. We just want you to let us live in peace. 72 hours, she repeated. Choose wisely. After they left, the council chamber remained in chaos for hours. Some species wanted to call Chen's bluff. Others wanted to comply immediately. A few wanted to attack humanity before they could make good on their threats. Councillor Thexran sat in silence, looking at the images Kellis had presented. He had governed for over a century. He had seen young species before, but never one like this, never one that scared him. He made his decision. If humanity wanted to threaten the Council, he would show them what real power looked like. He would call their bluff and teach them the lesson they should have learned 50 years ago. He was wrong. Earth's silent warning. Our patience is dwindling, Counselor. Thexran had made many decisions in his long life. He had seen wars end and begin again. He had watched species rise and fall. He believed he understood power, understood fear, understood what it took to maintain order in a chaotic galaxy. He believed humanity was bluffing. They show us old videos and expect us to tremble, he said to his inner council. They claim to have destroyed 3 species, but where is the proof? Ancient files that could be fabricated, ships that could be mock-ups. We have governed this galaxy for 10,000 years. We will not be intimidated by a species that learned to fly between stars only yesterday. His advisors were less certain. The files archivist Kellis presented seemed authentic, one ventured. Kellis is sympathetic to the humans. He could have been deceived or bribed. Thexran rose from his seat, his massive form casting shadows across the chamber. No. We will show the humans what happens when children play with adults. Assemble the Vorlex fleet. We will go to Sol System itself. A show of force. They will understand their place. And if they resist, another advisor asked quietly, then we will remind them that the Council has maintained peace for millennia through strength. They cannot match our numbers, our experience, our technology. They will fold. Thexren's eyes gleamed with confidence. They always do. The 72-hour deadline was still 40 hours away when Thexren made his decision. He would not wait. Waiting showed weakness. The Vorlek's second fleet consisted of 200 warships, each one a masterpiece of military engineering. They had been built over centuries, refined and improved with each generation. Their weapons could reduce a planet's surface to molten slag. Their shields could withstand the blast of a star. They were the pride of the Vorleks. Hegemony Thexeron commanded the fleet, personally from the flagship Eternal Dominion. As they entered the slipstream toward Sol system, he felt the satisfaction of a teacher about to deliver a necessary lesson. Along the way, they encountered a small human research station, unmanned according to their sensors, just a scientific outpost studying some stellar phenomenon. "Destroy it," Thexren ordered. "Let humanity know we are coming." The station exploded in a brief, bright flash. No one aboard the Vorlek's ships noticed the data packet that transmitted from the station in the microsecond before its destruction. No one saw the message that reached Sol system faster than any ship could travel. They crossed the line. "The station is gone. Initiating Protocol 0. Admiral Webb received the message while standing on the bridge of the orbital defense platform. He had been standing there for 36 hours waiting, hoping he wouldn't have to give the next order. That hope died with the research station. "Confirm," he said, his voice hollow. "Independent verification." "Confirmed, sir," Commander Johnson said, her face pale. "Station Delta 7 is gone. Vorlek's fleet inbound 200 ships, ETA 4 hours. Webb closed his eyes, opened them, looked out at Earth below. His homeworld, the cradle of humanity. Billions of people going about their lives unaware that everything was about to change. Activate Silent Guardian. Full power. Defensive posture only unless fired upon. "Sir, they destroyed our station. That's an act of war." "That's why we're going defensive," Webb said. "We will not fire first. We will give them every chance to turn back." "They won't," Johnson said. "I know." Throughout Sol system, things began to wake up. The moon, Earth's ancient companion, shimmered as camouflage fields deactivated. Massive structures revealed themselves. Structures that had been there for decades, hidden by technology the Council didn't know humanity possessed. Weapons platforms, shield generators, sensor arrays that could track a single ship from light years away. Mars revealed its own secrets. Beneath the red soil, manufacturing complexes had been producing ship components for 30 years. Venus, behind its thick clouds, housed research facilities that pushed the boundaries of what was possible. The asteroid belt, thought to be a simple mining operation, revealed itself to be humanity's shipyard. Ships that had never been registered with the Council powered up their reactors. Crews that had trained in secret for decades moved to battle stations, and throughout it all the Silent Guardian network came online. Satellites that had drifted silently in space for years activated their true purpose. They were not weapons, not exactly. They were something else, something worse. Earth's population received the alert at the same time. Emergency protocols activated. People moved calmly to shelters trained by regular drills. There was no panic. Humanity had practiced for this day, hoped it would never come, but prepared nonetheless. On Nexus Station, Archivist Kellis was frantically trying to contact the Council. He had been working non-stop since Chen's warning, digging through every restricted file he could access. What he had found horrified him. The files showed not just what humanity had done to the Krevtok, the Yulth, and the Drex. They showed how. The Krevtok fleet hadn't been destroyed. It had been disassembled, atom by weapons that manipulated fundamental forces. The Yulth homeworld hadn't been invaded. It had simply stopped existing in normal spacetime. The Drex Empire's entire territory had been quarantined. Their sun's output adjusted until their worlds could no longer support life. And those weapons were primitive compared to what humanity had now. The Council must stop the fleet. Kellis pleaded to anyone who would listen. They must turn back before they reach Sol system. If they attack, if they force humanity to defend itself, it will be the Krevtok all over again. Worse. Much worse. But the Council chambers were in chaos. Dozens of species were arguing about what to do. Some wanted to support the Vorleks. Others wanted to condemn them. A few were already quietly moving their own fleets away from human space. Ambassador Chen sat in her quarters watching the countdown. 47 minutes until the Vorlex fleet reached Sol system. She had sent 3 more messages to Thexran, each one begging him to turn back. None had been answered. She thought about Captain Miller and his crew, still imprisoned on Vorlex Prime. She thought about the research station that had just been destroyed, and the 3 scientists who had been aboard despite the sensors saying it was unmanned. They had volunteered to stay to give Sol system early warning. They had died for that warning. Chen opened a channel to Admiral Webb. "It's happening," she said. "I know." "Sarah, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry you have to watch this. We gave them every chance when we did. More chances than we gave the others." Chen looked at her hands. They weren't shaking. She felt cold, detached, as if watching everything from a great distance. "History will judge us. History will remember we tried peace first," Webb said. "That has to be enough." The Vorlex fleet dropped out of slipstream at the edge of Sol system. Thexran looked at his sensors and laughed. He had expected a massive defensive fleet. Instead, he saw a handful of orbital platforms, some satellites, what looked like an old moon base. "This is what they threaten us with. This is their mighty defense?" "Sir," his sensor officer said, "I'm reading some unusual energy signatures. The moon, the asteroid belt. Miners and researchers scrambling to evacuate," Thexran dismissed. "Target the orbital platforms. Weapons range in 30 seconds. The fleet advanced in perfect formation. They did not see the invisible web that surrounded them, did not feel the calculations being made by quantum computers spread across the solar system, did not realize that Silent Guardian had already locked onto every ship, every weapon system, every power core. "Sir, I'm reading massive power buildup throughout the system. Energy levels that shouldn't be possible. Fire," Thexran ordered. Nothing happened. Every weapon system on every Vorlex ship had gone dead. Not damaged, not destroyed, simply inactive as if they had never existed. "Report," Thexran shouted. "All systems are down. Weapons, shields, engines, communication, everything. It's like we've been hit with an EMP, but there was no pulse, no attack, nothing. Emergency power. Backup systems. They're trying to activate, sir, but something is blocking them. It's like the power is there, but it won't flow. The connections are intact, but nothing is working." Admiral Webb watched the Vorlex fleet drift helplessly in space. 200 warships, the pride of their civilization, reduced to floating debris in 30 seconds without a single shot fired. "Hail them," he said. Commander Johnson tried. "No response, sir. Their communication systems are offline." Then broadcast. "Make sure every ship in that fleet hears this." Webb took a breath. "Vorlex fleet, this is Admiral Marcus Webb of Earth Defense Force. Your weapons are disabled. Your ships are dead in space. We could destroy you all right now. We could do to you what we did to the Krevtok, the Yalth, the Drex. We could erase you from existence and the galaxy would forget you were ever here." He paused, looking at the helpless ships on his screen. "But we won't, because unlike the others, you still have time to learn. You came to our home to threaten us. You destroyed our station. You imprisoned our people. You laughed at our warnings. And still we show mercy." His voice hardened. "This is your last chance. This is the last mercy you will receive. Leave our space. Release our people. And never ever threaten humanity again. Because next time we will not be this kind." Earth silent warning. Our patience is dwindling. The Galactic Council convened in emergency session 3 hours after the Vorlex fleet went silent. Every species sent their highest representatives. The chamber was packed beyond capacity, with delegates standing in aisles and floating in upper galleries. Everyone wanted to witness what would happen next. Ambassador Sarah Chen stood in the center of the chamber. She looked tired, older somehow, as if the events of the past days had aged her decades, but her voice was steady when she spoke. "The Vorlex fleet is alive. Every single crew member is unharmed. We could have killed them all in the time it takes you to draw breath. We chose not to." Counselor Vishala's energy field pulsed with agitation. "You attacked a council fleet. This is an act of war." "They attacked us first," Chen replied calmly. "They destroyed our research station. 3 scientists died. They came to Sol system with weapons armed and intentions clear. They fired first. We responded with the minimum force necessary to protect ourselves." "Minimum force?" another counselor shouted. "You disabled 200 warships in seconds." "Yes," Chen said. "Minimum force. Maximum force would have vaporized them. We have weapons that can do that. We chose not to use them. The chamber erupted in argument. Chen waited, letting them shout and threaten and posture. Finally, when the noise died down, she continued. The council needs to understand something. Humanity did not want this confrontation. We came to the stars hoping for peace. We followed your rules. We accepted your restrictions. We endured insults and attacks and discrimination because we wanted to be part of your community. She looked around the chamber, meeting eyes of beings from 100 different worlds. But we will not accept slavery. We will not accept being treated as less than sentient. And we will not stand by while our people are imprisoned, our ships destroyed, our colonies strangled. Kelly stepped forward, his voice shaking but determined. I have spent the last 3 days analyzing what happened to the Vorlex fleet. The technology humanity used does not exist in council databases. It should not be possible according to our understanding of physics. He activated a holographic display. They did not use electromagnetic pulses. They did not use any form of weapon we understand. They simply stopped the ships from working. They reached into the quantum level of every system simultaneously and prevented electrons from flowing where they needed to flow. Murmurs filled the chamber. Several scientific delegates looked sick. That level of control over fundamental forces should be impossible, Kellis continued. It requires computational power beyond anything the Council possesses. It requires an understanding of physics that we have not achieved. He looked at Chen. How long have you had this technology? 40 years, Chen answered. We developed it specifically for defense. It cannot be used offensively at range. It only works in areas where we have established the Silent Guardian network. That's why we never left Sol system. We built our defenses and hoped we would never need them. Until we forced you to use them. Thexran's voice came from the entrance. The old counselor looked diminished somehow, his scales dull, his movements slow. He walked to the center of the chamber and Chen was surprised to see him bow his head to her. I was wrong, Thexran said, and the chamber went silent. In all his years of service, no one had ever heard him admit error. I believed humanity was bluffing. I believed you were children playing at being warriors. I sent my fleet to teach you humility, and instead I learned it myself. He looked up at the gathered council. I have reviewed the files Archivist Kellis presented. I have verified their authenticity. 3 species encountered humanity and pushed them too far. All 3 are gone. We nearly became the 4th. The Vorlex hegemony formally withdraws all sanctions against humanity. We release all human prisoners. We apologize for our actions. Thexran's voice was steady despite the humiliation of what he was saying. We also recommend that humanity be granted full membership in the Galactic Council, with all rights and protections that entails. The chamber exploded in noise again. This time Chen let herself smile slightly. Over the next 3 months, the galaxy changed in ways both large and small. Captain David Miller and his crew were released and compensated for their imprisonment. The merchant vessel was returned with repairs and upgrades as an apology. The Vorlex fleet was allowed to leave Sol system after 2 days. Their ship's systems were restored gradually, one system at a time, to ensure they could return home safely. Every crew member was required to watch a recording of Earth's history, to understand what humanity had survived and what they were capable of. The Council conducted a comprehensive investigation into humanity's technology and military capabilities. What they found was both reassuring and terrifying. Humanity had weapons that could crack planets but had never used them except in controlled tests. They had diseases that could wipe out entire biospheres, but kept them locked in maximum security facilities. They had artificial intelligences sophisticated enough to run entire civilizations, but kept them limited and monitored. Everything humanity had created for war, they had locked away. Everything they revealed was purely defensive. They could conquer the galaxy, Counselor Veshala said during one session. They have the technology. Why don't they? Kellis, who had been appointed as official liaison between the Council and humanity, answered. Because they remember what conquest cost them. They nearly destroyed themselves fighting each other. They learned that winning through force just creates more enemies. They came to the stars hoping to find a better way. The Council vote on humanity's membership was not unanimous, but it passed with a clear majority. Earth would have a permanent seat on the Council. Human colonies would receive full protection. Human ships would travel without restriction. Ambassador Chen gave one final speech to the Council on the day humanity officially joined. We stand before you not as conquerors, but as equals. We have shown you our strength because you forced us to. But our strength is not what defines us. She looked around the chamber, which now included a permanent human section. What defines us is that we choose peace when we could choose war. We choose cooperation when we could choose domination. We choose mercy when we could choose vengeance. The species that pushed us too far in the past did not give us those choices. They attacked without warning, enslaved without mercy, threatened without consideration. We responded in kind. We are not proud of what we did to them, but we will not apologize for surviving. Her voice softened. We came to the stars carrying the weight of our history. Wars that killed billions, weapons that nearly ended us, mistakes that we will never forget. We came hoping to do better, to be better. The Council tested that hope. You pushed us to see how far we would bend before we broke. Now you know, we bend very far, further than any species should have to. But when we stop bending, when we finally stand up and say no more, the galaxy shakes. She smiled then, and it was genuine. We hope you never see us do that again. We hope the next 1,000 years are peaceful, productive, and full of cooperation. We hope to be your friends, your allies, your partners in building a better galaxy. But remember this. Remember it when you look at Earth and see just another planet. Remember it when you see human merchants and think we are soft. Remember it when you consider testing us again. Her smile faded. Humanity is kind until it is time to stop being kind. And you will always know when that time comes. Because we will warn you. We always warn you. The question is whether you will listen. Years later, a popular saying spread through the galaxy, passed from species to species, taught to young ones as a lesson in wisdom. Beware the anger of a patient species. And when asked what it meant, elders would tell stories of the Vorlex fleet that went to threaten humanity and came back changed forever. They would speak of the Krevtok, the Yalth, the Drex, civilizations lost to history because they did not heed warnings, and they would point to humans, working alongside other species, building and exploring and creating, and say they choose to be peaceful. Never forget that it is a choice. Never forget what they are capable of when they choose otherwise. Earth's moon still bore its weapons, though they were deactivated and monitored by Council observers. The Silent Guardian network still surrounded every human colony, though it operated in passive mode under international treaty. The hidden shipyards still existed, though they now built exploration vessels instead of warships. Humanity had not forgotten how to defend itself. It had simply chosen not to need to, and the galaxy was better for it. Admiral Webb, now retired, stood on that same observation deck where he had watched the Vorlex fleet approach. Beside him stood Kellis, who had become one of Earth's closest friends in the years since the crisis. "Do you think they truly understand?" Kellis asked. "What it cost you to show restraint?" Webb was quiet for a moment. "I don't know, I hope so. Every second we waited to fire, every moment we spent trying to disable rather than destroy, every choice to show mercy instead of strength, it went against every instinct we had. Instincts bred in us by millions of years of evolution and thousands of years of war. But you did it anyway." "We did it anyway," Webb agreed. "Because we decided a long time ago that we wanted to be more than our worst instincts.